What's up, guys? So I just wanted to hop on here quickly. I've been getting so many ideas that it's just kind of about me dropping into the right space, the right energy, the right perspective and awareness in my body to be able to come on and share these messages. I have a little bit of anticipation right now because I have to work in about an hour, and I'm just kind of feeling the waves of different energies moving through me, kind of which I want to talk about. But firstly, I just want to give a quick shout out to a video that I watched. I was online on YouTube searching for a video that would bring me some relief. I know I wanted to get out of what I was going in, which was, I guess, the human part of this journey, and the fact that, yes, we can recognize that it's important to feel our emotions, and at the same time, we can still be guided to things that we are aspiring to go for in order to bring a sense of harmony to our being. So with that being said, shout out to Theo Von, one of the most prominent comedians out there, getting to talk a little bit more about like our own personal journeys as human beings and the struggles that we go through. And he spoke on a video talking about why we're all so hard on ourselves, which for me was just that release and the ecstasy of just kind of letting go of something I was harboring. And certainly in my own experience, because I'm feeling kind of things are at the surface, I'm definitely judging my experience and critiquing the ways in which I go about things in the ways in which I usually do. So wanting to bring on this message, I wasn't in a great space, but then his message kind of cleared a pathway for me to, I guess, honor what was coming to the surface, which was being held on to, and just acknowledging it allowed it to be released. So I think I got about 10 minutes to share here. So I'm about 8 minutes left. So let me just kind of dive right into it here. So I want to talk about my evolving experience in, my sexual expression and engaging with things that have influenced my relationship to sexuality, and how that's kind of evolving and transitioning and moving forward, and this, that, and the other, as part of my own experience. So basically, I talked about in my last video the fact that I sort of altered my relationship with porn and ejaculation and jerking off, essentially masturbating to porn, and enjoying that experience, and how for a long time there was an immense amount of suppression and a holding back of my desire to engage in these things. Obviously, it's conditioned to most kids or most boys going through adolescence and their teenage years, so they pick up the habit, and they for their own lives choose to kind of go with it, or do whatever it is that they have picked up on in their younger years. So for me, getting into self-help, I continued on with the porn action and activity for a little bit, but then I got to a point where I convinced myself that in order for me to level up, I needed to completely and utterly drop the habit, not even really ejaculate. Ejaculation was okay. However, like, watching porn was like a big no-no, and it would take me out of my present state of awareness and into the things that I was, I guess, trying to avoid, which on a macro level caused a lot of suffering, because it wasn't only not watching porn, it was like all the associated emotions that would accompany watching porn, which for me was a lot of guilt and shame. And I think for a lot of people, basically it's a representation of a lot of the guilt and shame we hold in ourselves. And whether it's porn, or whether it's, family dynamics, whether it's things you've done in your past, whether it's things that you're proud of, whether it's things you're working on, no matter what you're feeling now, I think the awareness that I had was, and it's because I was reading yesterday about this topic, is that a lot of us carry with us guilt. We carry a lot of guilt in our systems, and we project that out into the world. That's why you can't fully be happy. That's why you're constantly on edge. That's why you're constantly in fear. That's why you're constantly angry. You're projecting what you feel ashamed of in yourself onto the world, onto other people, and onto your perception of what life has in store for you. So you can just look at your life and just be like, like, a lot of this, what I've created or what I have going for me, is a reflection of a lot of the guilt that I have. So for me, porn has been a perfect gateway into diving into that, because what more prominent theme or sort of action or genre of life can we feel more guilty about than sex, sexuality, and obviously the porn industry? So, without beating the nail on the head too long, I felt the call to watch porn again yesterday and enjoy, an intimate, experience with myself watching a video that I enjoy. And obviously, as I've evolved my perception around this, thing that I am starting to do now, there still is a lot of guilt and shame. I'm not totally clear of it. And when I was going about, thinking about doing it and then inevitably, searching the video and going online, etc., that shame came up. So I had to stop. I had to talk to God. I had to pray about it. I had to ask God for permission to do this thing. I needed to put myself in an aligned state because for me, another condition is in the self-help industry is that it's not necessarily what you do, it's the place it's coming from. So anything can be labeled good or bad if it's basically based on if you're trying to numb and escape yourself or if you're trying to drop in and just experience more harmony based on the well-being that you're already in. So for me, I wasn't really in a full state of well-being. I sort of was, which is why I thought that watching porn would be an okay activity. However, I needed to justify doing it by dropping even more into like a heart-centered space and talking to God about it and asking for permission so that I could do the thing, which I inevitably ended up doing. And, then I went to sleep after and kind of just went with whatever came up and was just kind of open, I guess, whatever consequences that were there. So like the resistance I had basically came down to the fact that I'm scared about what porn does to me. I'm not as present. I'm a little bit more fatigued in the mornings. I'm not going to show up as embodied, and by that I mean I'm not going to be show up as energized or as charged up from the sexual energy as I would have if I didn't ejaculate. So thinking about work, it breeds a little bit of fear and anxiety and uncertainty. However, I knew deep down that the action was aligned and it was synchronized, and I asked God, and God was going to be with me through that process, whatever happened. So upon these uncomfortable sensations that are being experienced by me, I have this undertone knowing that I'm good, it's all happening for me, and whatever uncomfort I feel is vulnerability that is going to be more relatable to my environment, and hopefully you can feel some of that vulnerability, even though I feel much more grounded while talking to you right now. However, the point of this video, I have 2 minutes left. I want to share that as we walk this path, as we become more conscious, as we become more aware, the reminder to you, if you're going through any sort of thing that resembles the energy behind what I'm talking about, is that you're here to lean into your edge. Okay, you're a powerful, strong, sovereign, loving individual. You're meant to lean into your edge. What do I mean by this? The things that breed the most, constriction, I guess, or energetic buildup, those things are actually good for you, okay? I talked about porn being good for you, but also not watching porn is good for you. Conserving your sexual energy is an amazing aspiration and thing to do. I used to go months without ejaculating or watching porn because I used to resist it so heavily. And that in and of itself was beautiful. It was a cultivation of all this energy that I've been able to build and accumulate in my system. And, although at times it got overwhelming to the point where I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I went hard into the escapist, unconscious action of watching porn and feeling really guilty about it, the very least thing that I did was I established me being able to lean into my edge. Every 3 months ago or so, I would inevitably, run out of willpower to not ejaculate, and I would ejaculate, and I would go through this really down, dark, negative depression, like heavy shit. However, that was beautiful in and of itself, and I have about 30 seconds to tell you that leaning into your edge, it may be super uncomfortable and it may breed a sense of fear of failure or fear of breakdown. What I realized this week as well is I'm afraid of having that breakdown again. So what I did was I watched porn to sort of get that energy out of my system so I wouldn't have to, get close to or think about the edge of when I would ejaculate and feel really guilty and go into depression. Leaning into your edge means doing the things that you may think are good for you and being okay with the breakdown, because the breakdown is the most beautiful thing. I swear to God, it's your transformation.